Welcome again, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another fantastic session. In this session, we're going to talk about BIM for infrastructure. Jake, Juan, and Maxime Carrier will demonstrate how to collaborate in the cloud with your civil infrastructure partners. You're going to learn how BIM 360 design tools and workflows, such as project admin, user setup, drawing, and shortcut management can improve your overall workflow and communication. Just a reminder to post your questions on the Q&A panel on the right side of your screen, as we're going to be answering those questions live at the end of the session. I think with that, I'm going to pass it on to Jay. Jay, can you please take over?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Okay, so welcome to BIM for Infrastructure, Improving Civil Workflows and Communication. Let's take a look at the agenda. So first of all, I'm going to start with some overview and definitions. Second, I'm going to sort of go over how BIM 360 can help you day to day as a civil designer. Number three, maybe basically go over the account and project setup process, just to give you a feel of what it's like. And then most of the focus will be on the BIM 360 Docs features that lets you do what you need to do. The meat and potatoes of what's going to help you with your projects. Okay, so let's take a look at the sort of definitions. Here, I'm sort of going to go off the script a little bit. On the screen is a formal definition of BIM 360 Docs. Let me just share with you what BIM 360 Docs means to me. It's essentially a set of tools that makes it crystal clear who needs to do what, when, where, and how. And as you are going through these things, it's keeping a record of it all in one place. So the result is essentially an unbroken chain from start to finish of a project of who did what, when, where, and how, that you can check in one place. That is the ideal, right? So you're not having any information loss, you're not having any severed, like you don't have a broken story of how you ended up from point A to B. You have a complete picture of everyone involved, what they did, when, and how they did it. Okay, so let's talk about BIM 360 design. BIM 360 design, you can sort of think of it as an enabler. So BIM 360 docs have always worked well in what it wants to do with plain documentation, let's say PDFs and those kinds of things. What the design portion lets us do is, it's a collaboration module. I'm not going to talk about the Revit side of things. I'm just going to focus on the Civil 3D side. Maybe Plan 3D for some of you, but mainly the Civil 3D side. So what it does is it basically lets us host Civil 3D drawings on the BIM 360 platform and have all the data shortcuts, XREFs, and everything else that you need, like sheet sets and that kind of thing. Have all those things work, right? That's important because without all those things, you can't host your entire project on the BIM 360 platform. You're essentially hosting it somewhere else for the modeling files and only hosting your PDFs or plans, for example, on BIM 360, and you sort of have a separation of the data. So the BIM concept is all about unity of data. So if we can have it all in one place, that's good. And that's what the design module basically lets us do by enabling all those features. Okay, so let's talk about the desktop connector. That's basically the software that gets installed into each local computer and and basically acts as a middleman between BIM 360, the cloud environment, and your local computer. So that's going to handle all the synchronization, updating, that kind of stuff. Okay, file replication. So let's talk about how this is actually implemented. So the benefits of hosting everything in the cloud environment is obvious. It's one central place, unlimited storage. You can do all sorts of things with it. Now, the file replication addresses the question of speed. How fast can I work? If you have to stream files, design files from the cloud environment all the time, it's going to work really slow. So the solution is essentially it lets you pre-download all the project files down to your local computer, but not have it as like a separate set of files. It's essentially treated as a mirror of the cloud files that you can sync when you're done making changes to them. Okay, so I hope I started answering this question. What can BIM 360 do for me? So it is a fast, unlimited central storage where you can locally sync your files. It is fully version capable, so every time you save, it saves a new version and you can roll back. So if you have a file corrupt, you can always get your older files back, or if you have an earlier option that you want to make current, you can always do that. You can find things faster because all your projects are stored on one environment. You can do searches and sorts, and according to various criteria, because Windows, you can't tag files or folders with different attributes, right? But you can in BIM 360. So we'll take a look at that as well. You can also organize files by set, so you can sort of filter out what you're looking at. If you only have a handful of set of files that you need for your 66% or whatever it might be, you can just take a look at those and not have to slog through the other files to get at them. You can also set, well, you basically have all your contacts and at your fingertips, and all of them have the appropriate permissions set up so that they can share the appropriate files. So you don't have to make copies of files and put them in different locations just to hide certain files to certain people and share certain files. Like, you don't have to do any of that. It's all permission based. And the next thing is, one of the major thing is make actions clear. Whether you're viewing, editing, marking up, everything, it's marked as that kind of action. It's sort of formalized. That's important because that means it can take a note of everything you're doing without you having to actually describe what you're doing, right? It's automated. It also improves communication because whenever you're transmitting something or sending something, it's also sort of, you can embed notes with everything you do. And last item, cover your butt. So it has a central record of all your actions. So you don't run. If somebody says, well, you're supposed to send me this file by that date, but you didn't, well, you can actually show proof. Well, this file was transmitted to you on this date and you received it. And I have a record of that, right? So all sorts of uses. Okay. So now that we've gone through sort of what it can do for you, let's sort of go through the prerequisites quickly. So first of all, you'll need a BIM 360 Docs account. You'll also need a BIM 360 design license. That opens up the collaboration tools. You need to install Civil 3D 2020.2 update or later. And you need to install the latest Autodesk desktop connector. So having done all that, we can start taking a look at creating a new project. So there are two sort of administration levels, so account admin and project admin. So account admin is more kind of a senior project manager. Let's say you're managing what projects get started when and who's involved and that kind of thing, and what permissions they have, what permissions the companies have. Project admin is focused on the individual projects, who's involved in, like whoever is involved in that project, what permissions they have, what services you have available for that project, and that kind of thing. And some configuration as well. So let's take a quick look at that. So I'll go to BIM 360. What I'm going to do is navigate to the account admin page. So on the far left is the project. This is where you can get an overview of all the different projects that are currently open. You can select individual projects and archive them. So that you can only, like, you know, if you want to, you can just view the active projects. To create a new project, you just click on add and then fill out the information. All sorts of good information here. Project address, you know, contract type, job number, business unit, a bunch of things that can help you organize how you view your projects. You can also add members. Typically within the organization at the account admin level. You can also add companies, basically set up profiles of companies, and you can add that to add that company to an individual member's profile, basically. You can define roles. So roles are basically preset permissions that you can easily apply to people, right? So just drag this over here. Analytics, some information, bird's eye view of all your projects, and settings where you can set up different business units if you need that level of organization, and get a log of admin activities. Basically get a log of all the projects and that have started and when, by who. So as soon as you create, let's go back to this project tab. As soon as you add a new project, it'll take you to a project admin screen. So I'll just, actually creating one kind of takes a while. So I'll just hop onto an existing project and show you the project admin screen. So project admin, again, you can add members to your project. And when you add them, you just type in the email address and basically assign a role or assign individual permissions. What companies are involved automatically get pulled along with the member profile. If any members have the company information, it'll get listed there. Well, services, this is actually the first thing that you get taken to after creating a new project. What are you going to set active? And typically for you know, a design scenario, this is what you're going to have. Document management, design collaboration, and insight. Document management is a core of BIM 360. Design collaboration is what makes data shortcuts work. And insight, it's just some analytics. It's always on. You can't really turn that off, really. Just some useful information about how your project is going. You can always edit your profile, project profile. This is where you can set a project to be active, inactive, or archived, add images, different things. Okay, so once you have all that configured, you can go to the project home, and it'll pick up on the location and the date and automatically fill out the project address and the weather. And here you can sort of get a glance at what needs to be done next, kind of thing. And this is customizable. There's a customize button here. When you click on the card library, you can add all sorts of things, including connectors to all sorts of other products that can connect with BIM 360. Okay, so let's take a look at what's next. Well, Once you have a project set up from a civil designer perspective, you're going to have to take a look at basically how it appears in the File Explorer. So I'll open the File Explorer. Okay, so first of all, when you have desktop application installed, you'll see this icon in the task tray, Autodesk Desktop Connector, and it'll show you the version. So just check the version number, check it once in a while, keep it updated. Okay, so once you have the desktop app installed, you'll see this BIM 360 item on the left-hand side. I'll expand this item a little bit just to drill down to the various levels. Okay, so at the top level, you have the BIM 360 item itself. If you right-click on that, you can click on About to get some help on BIM 360. The next level down is basically the account level. So you can be involved in more than one account. Here, the only action available is free up space. Now, free up space, what that does is delete the local versions of any project files that you might have. This does not touch any files that are in BIM 360 cloud environment itself. It's just clearing your local cache. Next level down is project level. Same again, right click on it and you get free up space. Next level down, project files. Every single project is going to have this project files folder, really. And here, this is the first level where you can actually choose to sync it so that you can pre-download all the files that you need before you get started on your project. Or if you're about to go out in the field where you're not going to have good connection, that kind of thing. Next level down, as soon as you get below the project file folder level, you have individual folders and individual folders that you can actually delete. Be very careful with those because that will delete the files in the BIM 360 as well. Nothing's permanently deleted, but still it's going to cause an interruption if anybody else is working on the project, right? So free up space, clears up your local hard drive, deletes local and in the cloud environment. And basically any subfolder have the same options until you get to the file level. And when you right click on a file, you have two more options open up, basically lock and unlock and open. Okay. So that's essentially how the desktop app works, how it connects with your File Explorer. Okay, next, another thing that's important is a Civil 3D interface. Let's take a look at that. Okay. So when you open Civil 3D, the start menu will be a little bit different. It's going to have this BIM 360 item, and that's going to show lock state if any files are locked, whether it's synced or not, or whether it needs to be synced, the version, different information like that. Even in the recent item, it'll show whether the file is local or from the BIM 360 or connected to the BIM 360 environment. And you can just open a file as usual. It's just like opening any other file. So I'll just open road design there. And it'll just download the file if you haven't already synced the entire project folder. Okay, so that's how it connects with Civil 3D directly. Now, most of the interesting stuff happens in, I'll just drag this off to the side. Most of the interesting stuff happens on the BIM 360 web interface. So I'll go back to the web interface here and basically go into document management. Okay, so here let's just take a look at that typical folder. I'll just take a look at the design folder. So most file types that you're going to work with your design, you will be able to sort of open them. Maybe I'll just go into the existing folder actually. So any file, any DWGs, for example, you should be able to just click and open in an online viewer. And this viewer has quite a few features actually. So you can just pan around, zoom extents, just take a look around. You can do measurements, and typically I don't have any, it can do snaps, these measurements. I think I picked the wrong drawing for this. You can do linear measurement, area measurement, all that kind of stuff. One interesting feature is you can compare the drawing with the earlier version, for example. So if I do a compare from version 3 to version 2, it'll sort of show the differences in red and blue. Again, I think I chose the wrong drawing for this. Okay. So I'll close the viewer for now and get back to this. Sorry, didn't mean to. I'll just continue here. Okay, so and you can take a look at properties. If you click on different objects, you can take a look at the layers and turn individual layers on and off. And finally, you have these markup tools available. So you can draw, you can highlight things. So you can highlight things, you can draw things with the pen tool. You can leave text, callouts. My favorite is actually the revision cloud callout, where it just combines everything into one. So you can just draw a revision cloud and then have a callout attached to it. You can draw different shapes, dimensions, arrows pointing to things. So you have all sorts of stuff that you can do. Now, when you create any markups, it'll show up on this markup page, where it'll have a record of what was drawn when. You can edit or delete. Now, another thing you can do is actually create an issue in this environment. So you can click on issue. I have an issue created here already. So you can add all sorts of information like what type, design, existing conditions. Actually, I'll just create one. Actually, no, but just looking at the time, I'm gonna have to go forward. So yeah, you can select what type of issue it is. It's gonna record by who, what date, the location details, and you can leave a note. And an issue, unlike markup, is something that you can assign for somebody else to complete an action on, and they can complete the action and basically resolve the issue. So it's not just to point something out, it's to actually get someone going on changing something. Okay, let's take a look at the next topic. So versioning and deleting. So this is, let me just visit that really quick. So I'll exit the viewer, discard. So there's this version column. So if I click on the version number, it'll show the past versions. And there are a number of things you can do. So you can copy them. You can download the source file. Also, you can sort of make the older version current if you need to have an older other option, like an older option, the current option, for example. Or you can compare different versions at any time. Right? And as far as deleted files go? I mean, you can delete any of these files. So there's a delete option. But anything that you delete, you can recover it through the deleted items. And you know, it's just folder based. I don't think I've permanently deleted anything. Let me just check the entire project files. Yeah, a couple of folders here that I deleted, but yeah. And you can restore them at any time. So nothing's really permanently lost. So it's just a temporary interruption, really. Okay. Managing plans with title block templates. I don't really have the time to demo the actual creation of plans, but I'll show you how it works. So what happens is when you upload a plan, notice this, these columns, CO2 title. So by default, drawing number and drawing name it's organized by that. So you can upload different PDFs with different names, but what it does is it scans the drawing. And let me just open this up. I'm just using the public works title block here. It basically scans the title block of the drawing, and it has a character recognition. And you can sort of draw a box around the drawing name, draw a box around the drawing number, and it'll catalog those two things. And any other number of criteria that you want to identify that plan from anything else. So even if you upload the same plan, like if you have a different PDF that you upload, it'll just version it up. It'll recognize that it's the same thing just by having it compare the PDFs and recognizing the information out of it. Okay. Okay, so assign, set, submit for review, and transmittals. So let's take a look at BIM 360 environment again. Okay. So earlier I mentioned you can organize drawings into sets. So up here there's folders and sets. Folders has an overview of all the different folders that go into the project. Sets show you what files belong to which set. And you can have multiple sets, and it'll just show you those files so that you can focus on what you need to focus at the time. And everything's sort of like in one place. So to add or remove on a drawing from a set, it's pretty easy. All you need to do is just click on the ... edit set assignment, and you can basically assign any drawing to an existing set that way, or remove it, or create a new set if you want. Any file that you want to send a review to, you can just use the same interface, the ... submit for review, and just type in the name of the review, I guess. So let's say 33% internal, something like that. And then there are different workflows that you can set up. And then you can send that that file along with notes for a review. You can, I already have a review created here from earlier, so essentially sent a review to myself, but you can basically set a deadline of what to do when, or when to have that reviewed by. And okay, so so basically that takes care of those three items: review, transmittals, and sets. And finally, well, let's take a look at the record keeping portion of it. So it is under project activities and file activities. So basically that's going to be, let's take a look at that. So any file that you have in BIM 360 Docs, you can just you can just click the same ... and view file activities. And it'll give you a history of what was done and when, by who. So you're never going to end up with a situation where it's like, well, my drawing changed. I don't know who went in it or what they did. You're always going to be able to take a look at the record. And if anything was saved up, you'll be able to compare the older version, right? And in general, if you want a project for a project manager for an overview, you'll be able to basically get a record of all the things that happened in your project. And for some reason, I can't remember where that is. I mean, Max, do you remember where that is?
What's that?
Project overview of all the actions that have been taken.
Oh my. Regarding the project, would it be in Insight?
Yeah, that's a good place to look.
For reports, I was playing with it earlier.
Yep. Okay.
There's a design portion of it in the first,
Design,
first tab.
yeah,
Design.
yeah.
I'm unsure if that's the right place for it. Sorry, you're throwing me under the bus.
Sorry, I threw you under the bus. I threw myself under the bus first, if that helps. So anyway, so that's just a quick overview of all the different tools of BIM 360 Docs and how BIM 360 Design kind of aids in the process. So yeah, do we have any questions there, Saeed?
Well, we have a question about the location of the servers of BIM 360.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
where are located?
Yeah, it's sitting on a US server, but I know you mentioned that they're working on a European server location as well, Saeed?
Yes, they have a server in Ireland, but it's mostly for European customers. So basically, users located in the US and Canada have to use the US server for now.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like a distributed server network. It's the pipeline is pretty good speed from anywhere in Canada, really. So unless there's like a legal requirement, I think the locations are pretty good.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Great. Well, on a final note, I'd like to tell everyone, please don't miss our next session about connecting Civil 3D and map to GIS. In this session, Frank Sander will review the latest features that connect the GIS data files and your ArcGIS data. We will explore how to use the Atlas connector for ArcGIS to browse data sets and add ArcGIS layers into your map drawing and review the tools to clean up and manage the data. So that brings us to the end of this session. Jay, Max, thank you very much. Nice job on the presentation and the insights you provided. I guess it's a goodbye, everyone, and I'll see you in the next session.